Okay, we are off and running and super excited for today because we're talking life sciences. And my guest today has been immersed in this field for 25 plus years. David Crean is with us today. David, how are you?
I'm wonderful, Bob. Thanks so much for inviting me in for market knowledge of what you're doing for the business community.
Well, my pleasure. It's great to have you. And you're in the strategic planning, venture capital, advising these life science companies. But first, I want to talk about you a little bit and kind of how you got started in this business. Is this something you started right after school?
Yeah, this was coming back in the late 1980s, coming out of academia. After getting my PhD in biophysics, I wanted to get into the pharmaceutical and biotechnology arena, and immediately got into sort of breaking away from the research and development, got into corporate development, doing business development, corporate development, M&A, mergers and acquisitions, and licensing transactions. So that was back in the early 90s, and did that for a number of years within strategic corporate pharma. And following that, broke off away from that after about 15, 20 years, got into private equity, a very different side of the business. From there, investment banking and helping entrepreneurs and business owners sell their businesses. So, and it was primarily privately held companies, some thinly traded publics, but primarily privately held. And now taking it to yet again, a sort of another aspect of how companies grow, and that's venture investment. So it's been a great run.
Now you're in a very specific segment, right? With the life sciences, pharmaceuticals. Did you always know you really wanted to go into that sector, or did that just organically happen?
No, it didn't organically happen. Certainly always had an interest in healthcare, broadly speaking. Applied to medical school, applied to graduate school, chose graduate school over medical school. So I was always enamored with science and healthcare, and it's always just been a nice natural fit. Along the way, got my MBA in finance, so it made me a little bit more, unique. Not only coming to it from a scientific or technical perspective, but now from a finance perspective. And many of the scientific or technical types don't really have that strong finance aspect. So it's a great marriage of the two disciplines. And what I do with that, whether it's from the private equity, venture capital, strategic companies, and M&A, it's really a great fit and a good background for what I do.
Well, it's certainly a big part of San Diego, of course. Depending on what study or report you look at, we're anywhere from a number 4 or number 5, globally on the scale of life science clusters. What do you think makes San Diego so attractive? And then also, how do we keep it up? We've been on the rise. What makes us a little vulnerable too?
Yeah, thanks. Great question, Bob. If you do look at, depending on the report and how, who writes it and how it's tailored, San Diego is certainly within top 5. You can certainly look at Boston, Cambridge, New York, New Jersey, San Francisco. Arguably, I would say San Diego is probably 3 or 4. If you actually combine San Diego, Orange County, and LA, it certainly rivals the Bay Area. But right now, Cambridge, Boston is number 1. What is so great about San Diego? There's several things that drive the healthcare and life science sector in San Diego. Human capital, number 1. There's so many people here and great talent. If you're an entrepreneur and want to start a company, or if you're already an existing company, want to attract and recruit, human capital is by far a great asset for the San Diego community. Secondly, great technology, good universities. So they're pumping out a lot of technology and IP to start these companies up. It's got a great R&D environment, if you will. And then secondly, or third, you have a very supportive commercial real estate environment, whether it's, wet labs, office space. We tend to see it in the Torrey Pines, Torrey Mesa area, Sorrento Valley area. But, we're also going to see, the addition, and we can talk a little bit later on about going downtown. Carlsbad, North County is also a very booming area as well. So those three elements are really what make, San Diego a great life science ecosystem. What we're missing, however, is attracting more, venture capital, more capital providers down here. And, in today's business, a lot of them are up in the Bay Area. It's an hour flight. They can come on down. So that's where I think we have a little bit of weakness, and we can certainly try to build that up in the San Diego ecosystem.
So, David, how do we solve that? How do we bring more capital investors to the area? Because as you said, it's especially these days, and everything's so close, right? Because of video.
Yeah.
How do we attract more capital to the area?
Well, capital is being attracted to the area, but in today's environment, in a virtual environment, it's pretty agnostic. You can live in New York, you can live up in the Bay Area. The capital providers are getting used to still, right now writing checks over Zoom, over a virtual, a virtual environment. So I think what your question might be is, how can we get somebody physically or geographically located down here?
Right.
Because they used to be like that, many years ago, but people have found it just, the money was going to go up north, and a simple, 1 hour flight did not prevent them from staying in contact with the companies down here who had an interest in building businesses. So, there are a number of advocates in the San Diego area, including San Diego Venture Group, Connect, Mike Crean, and others who are really trying to, promote the San Diego ecosystem to capital providers, and in particular the venture capital community. So, they're making some good headway. It's for some reason, it's just we don't have a lot of people who are geographically located here. I'm certainly very excited about it, getting into, and now as an emerging venture investor, and building a fairly sizable fund, specifically targeting life sciences. I'm glad that I'm located here. It's just so many great companies to choose from. And, my biggest challenge is saying yes to this one and no to these other ones. So not a bad idea, no, but it's a great opportunity. For me, I'd love to be seen as, the San Diego investment community, the Sandlot, the Sand Road of San Diego, which there's not very much here, so it's very cool. I think there's a great opportunity. Sand Hill of San Diego.
Absolutely, and you mentioned it a little bit. So we hear about all the time, all the different announcements of the new life science companies and the startups, and the real estate market, which I'm in, very tight. As you said, the Torrey Pines area, Sorrento Mesa. There's the vacancy level is so low in these areas that we talked a little bit about it. San Diego, the downtown San Diego might be the next kind of venture for some of these life science companies. They're already in Carlsbad and other surrounding areas. Do you see downtown as a place that we're going to see the next move for some of these bigger life science companies?
I think we are going to see that, whether it's the incubators, the small emerging biotechs, perhaps some of the larger ones, but I would see it's more of the incubators and the small emerging biotechs going downtown. As you know, we have they are starting some development down there. You're also seeing it in the tech space with Horton Plaza being refurbished.
Right.
So we're going to see it. It's probably 2 or 3 years out for that development, but in the meantime, you're right. I mean, we still get great support, I believe, from the commercial real estate market, from Carlsbad to the Sorrento, Torrey Pines area. So I think that's just a natural evolution to go downtown. I'm interested in going down there eventually, 2 or 3 years, because I want to be around money and I want to be around life science ecosystem. And if they're going to be down there, and if I can get people to come in from, whether it's the East Coast or up in the Bay Area, it's a simple flight and it's a pretty simple commute over to the office if I'm downtown. So, but right now it's I think we're doing well with what we have. But yeah, I would say that's kind of the next natural outgrowth.
Yeah, I agree. I think downtown is set up really well in the future for, we got to get past all the vacancy down there because of the office market and COVID really throwing a wrench in everything. But I think long term, I think some of these new developments and refurbishments downtown are going to be great. I think it's going to be great for the life science community as well. Let's talk about COVID a little bit and kind of what's happened over the past year or so now. Been really tough on a lot of companies. We're seeing the effects of it again in the real estate market, but life science has come out of it as, white hot. It's like the most, everybody's talking about it. Developers, real estate owners all want to get into the life science business now, maybe a little bit too late. We'll see. Will this continue? Will we see this trend continue, or is it sustainable?
I'm pretty bullish on the ecosystem, on the sector. Obviously, it has had a great tailwind to the life science ecosystem with the pandemic. When investors go through a pandemic, they tend to have a flight to quality and flight to healthcare. That's exactly what had happened. So it's really boosted the life science ecosystem. M&A has been, pretty hot, especially on the fourth quarter, and then going into fourth quarter of 2020, and then going into 2021. Right now, I don't see it slowing down. Pharmaceutical and biotechnology companies, they still need to advance their pipelines and fill their pipelines with a lot of emerging biotechnology companies and their technology. That's really where a lot of the innovative research and development is coming from. So it's I don't see it slowing down. If my schedule is a proxy of the market, I'm busy. So right now I don't see it at least it's slowing down for at least the next 12 or 15 months. And arguably I would say I just don't see it really slowing down right now. So it's an exciting area to be in.
Great news for sure. When you're sitting down with some of these founders, CEOs of the life science companies, is there kind of a general theme that you hear now that they're asking you questions about, or they're seeing as different pain points for them, or something they need help with?
Yeah, the typical questions are, how do I raise money? I have a great technology, David. I have, sort of an emerging management team, but I don't know how to raise money. And who is that investor that I need to go to? Is it the seed? Is it the angel? When do I need to go to an institutional investor? What does that capital financing plan look like? And so the pain points are, where do I raise the money? How do I raise it? Do I go out and just seek non-dilutive capital through NIH grants or the National Science Foundation, what have you? So tell me about that capital financing plan. That's a pretty typical pain point for them. And then I would say, secondly, a lot of these are first-time entrepreneurs. This is their first time to the rodeo. And just because you're the founder doesn't mean you should be a CEO. And what I spend a lot of time with these entrepreneurs is saying, I think it's time to, put your ego aside. You don't need to be the CEO. You need to go out and attract a CEO who's been there and done it, who knows how to raise capital. And that's an important, discussion point to have with them. It's a difficult one, because they don't want to give up equity. They want to hold on to as much as possible. But it's really important to bring in a seasoned executive who knows how to build a business, how to raise money, and while the founder can focus on his science, focus on his technology. So it's money and it's management team. Those are, to me, are the two pain points that I see when I'm meeting with entrepreneurs.
So basically, they've got a great idea and they've got a great vision, and they're executing on it. But maybe it's time to bring in a team to help with the execution part of that idea.
Right. If you're a venture investor and you're looking at a technology it's unproven, what are you really investing in? You're investing in people first and foremost. And if you're looking at that management team going, this is their first time to the rodeo, they haven't done this before, it's a pretty large risk for me to write a check. And so you have to get really comfortable, with that management team. And a lot of times, 9 out of 10, I just can't. Because they've never done this before. They've never raised money. They've never taken a drug to the market, or they've never seen a liquidity event in their life. They haven't built up value in a company and then sold it off to a large pharma or a large biotechnology company. So, it's a pretty big risk to write a check to a, quote unquote newbie, if you will, someone's first time to the market. And that's the biggest issue that I have with a lot of the entrepreneurs that I run into.
Yeah, perfect. Thank you. Let's talk a little bit about just general business and your business. And I'm assuming it's like mine, where relationships are really everything and the most important thing. I've noticed, David, you seem to be connected to everybody in the life science industry that I can even imagine. For those maybe younger people who are looking to get into these kinds of businesses, how did you go about that? Was there like a strategy that you put in place to make sure that you got to know everybody in the life science industry?
You're absolutely right. Relationships matter, period. And, each day I have the, sort of the opportunity to rewrite rules and to really just build on that, to cultivate those relationships. I'm constantly out into the, in the business community of San Diego, and I would say in Southern California. And it's just not entrepreneurs. It's, the sort of the, the large ecosystem of companies and service providers that are attracted to the life science and who serve the life science. And so I'm just always out meeting with them, understanding what their pain points are, understanding how I can help them, whether it's as an investment banker or as an investor, or as a service provider. I think it's really important. So, when I got into this, I always tried to take a very comprehensive approach to the entrepreneur, to the business owner, to the management teams and the boards of directors of these life science companies. And I'm just trying to always, meet with them. I always try to provide or be of value to them. That's why I'm seen as a thought leader. I write a lot. I'm connecting a lot on social media, and particularly LinkedIn happens to be probably my biggest platform. But I write, and I try not to have it where it's solicitous or it's about me. It's about providing value to the entrepreneur and to the management team, the boards of directors, with something valuable. And that has been my approach, and so far it's worked. Knock on wood. But I try to keep up with the market trends as well. So, that's, to me, that's been kind of the secret to success for me.
And how are you transitioning now to less in person and more what we're doing right now?
It actually just allows me to focus more of the time and attention on the social media and making sure that I connect with people. I will actively go out for example, on LinkedIn and just connect with people, so I can either have a virtual or even a telephone call, knowing that at some point the world will open up and we can start having face-to-face. But it's really, I think LinkedIn and some of the other platforms has generally just allowed you to focus a little bit more time and attention on that, which has been great. And I have also been starting to open up and getting out one-on-one, or maybe in a troika, in a three people getting together. And I certainly will ask them, so long as they're comfortable, I would love to get together. I'm fully vaccinated now, so I don't. It's amazing. I felt that weight coming off my chest after I got it. And it changes the psychology a little bit, but I've been getting out. It was very difficult, obviously, for 10 to 12 months, but now I'm starting to see it open, right? You're seeing more cars on the road. We're seeing more people out, difficulty in getting reservations at local restaurants.
Right.
It's just starting to slowly open back up, but I haven't had so much difficulty with still connecting with people. Social media just, frankly, I'm glad that platform is there, because it just really allows you to still connect with people.
Yeah. We're able to do things like this, which is, I think it's fantastic to keep the dialogue going and, keep learning while we can. So Objective Capital, and also you mentioned the fund. Tell me a little bit about the fund and what you're doing there.
Yeah, so I just started up in March, just literally about 3 weeks ago. But I was working with a general partner out of the Midwest for about the last 15 to 18 months, and then COVID hit. He and I were both trying to raise a substantial fund for the life science industry, and it was specifically focused on writing larger checks rather than small here in San Diego. But the money we got was international, and with COVID hitting, obviously globally, it really just slowed us down. But we were able to, build up a fund. Right now, 500 million has come in, and I'm chasing another 250. I want to cap it out at 750 million, which is not it's a pretty substantial fund focused right on life science. And part of that reason I saw is San Diego, there's a real gap in the marketplace. My investment thesis would focus on San Diego and, let's say, Southern California, but I'll still look opportunistically outside of the region. And so it was slow to bring it in, but we're finally there. Like I said, I'm chasing an additional 250. It's just it's an area of great interest, not only to me, but to entrepreneurs as well as other institutional investors. What's interesting is I've been having a lot of calls with other established institutional venture funds, tier 1, tier 2 venture funds, and they're saying, "Hey, can would you be interested in joining as a syndicate?" So that's a good sign. That, we're really bringing some credibility to the market, and obviously additional funds to the market. So I'm really excited about that. Like I said, it just started up about 3 months ago. I'll probably launch it in April, and working with a marketing firm right now to help with the launch. So I'm really excited about it.
Yeah, it sounds exciting. Is there any type of company within the life science sector that you're looking for, or something that makes them maybe more attractive to you?
Yeah. So, by the way, the venture firm is called Coast Bio Ventures. Okay. Actually have it up on the website, coastbioventures.com. I'm specifically targeting the therapeutics market. I'm not a big fan of the medical or the diagnostic space. I like therapeutics. I tend to be preferential on oncology, immunology, and neurodegeneration. I'll also look at some other markets. I want to target companies that have realistic expectations on value. Generally, writing bigger checks than smaller checks is preferred. So 10, 15, 20 million and above. Those tend to be around Series A and greater. And I'd like to take, pretty substantial equity positions in the company. So I would say that's the investment thesis that we're targeting right now.
Okay. Well, David, can't thank you enough for being here today. Keeping the positive momentum alive here in San Diego with the life science industry. Really appreciate it. Look forward to talking again really soon.
Thank you very much, Bob, for your time, and thank you for allowing me to come in.
Absolutely. Anytime. Thanks, David. Appreciate it.
All right. Bye-bye.